Hey, welcome. Good morning. Thank you for joining me. My name is Jay Moore, your healthy accountant, and I want to welcome you to the Enlightenment series on Facebook. We're also on YouTube, so this video also gets uploaded to YouTube. So if you're catching me on either on either platform, I want to thank you for joining me this morning, this afternoon, or whatever time you're watching the program. Guys, all right. So this week we're talking about the 7 C's to an enlightened life. The 7 C's to an enlightened life. And we've already spoken about the first 3 C's, which is the first is change, the second is concentration, the third C is certainty. If you have not already watched those videos, you want to go back, check out those videos, find out, how or, what those C's, mean as it relates to having an enlightened life. So this morning, we're going to be talking about the fourth C, which is clarity. Clarity. Clarity of purpose, clear goals, clear vision. All of that can be summed up to a word: clarity. Having clarity or being clear. And so I was just was really, thinking about how to really show you and give you a really good understanding of clarity. Because I could just talk about goals and all that stuff, but which we are going to talk about, a process that you can use to stay clear, to have clarity. But I was thinking about my life, and I was thinking about the early days, and I was thinking about, we all grow up in different places, and what I realized is that most people don't have any clarity. Most people are not actually living for anything particular. Most people are just living. And there's a text that I'm going to use. We're going to kind of jump away from Paul this morning, but there's a text in Proverbs chapter 13, verse 22, and it says, a good man will have something to leave to his grandchildren, but the wealth of but the wealth of sinners will eventually be given to the righteous. But I want to pay attention to the first part. A good man will have something to leave for his or to his grandchildren. So my grandparents didn't leave me anything. I didn't even know them, really. The only grandparent I knew was my mother's mother. She didn't leave me anything. And it's interesting because it says a good man, really a good man or woman, would leave something for their grandchildren. So think about this word clarity. Was my grandparents clear on what it is they were doing in their life? Apparently, they were not as clear as they should have been. I'm not going to, I don't really know how clear they was. They raised kids, my father's mother and father, they had 8 children, 9 children. And, you know, everybody did okay, I guess. But the thing is, they didn't leave anything. They didn't leave anything, at least to their grandchildren. Nothing. Were they clear? Did they have clarity of purpose? And so as I was thinking about that, I said, man, a good man would leave something for his grandchildren. What's going to happen in my life? What am I going to leave to my grandchildren? I'm going to tell you what I love. I'm going to tell you what I love about today's age. Like all the video, all the stuff that we put out there. That's something that I'm leaving for my grandchildren. Even if it's not money, even if I didn't leave money to them, they would have access to the things that I said over a certain period of my life. Now, the first 40 something years, there's nothing. But just over the past couple of years, few years, I've been putting myself out there available. Things are being recorded. My life is a recording. They can go back and, hey, let's go find out about grandpa. Even if they didn't know me. And what if they catch up with this series? The Enlightenment series. They could find out, look what Grandpa was talking about, the Enlightenment series. And here it is. Now, I wasn't thinking I got to leave this for my grandchildren, but now that I'm thinking about it, here it is, my grandchildren and their grandchildren will be able to go back and see all of the collection of information that I left. They'll be able to find notebooks. They'll be able to find where I was writing down things and, say, man, wow, if they didn't know Grandpa, they'll be able to get to know Grandpa. They'll find out things that they could use in their life. That's not even the money. That's not even the money. And I want you to really consider your life, right? Because a lot of times, and this has happened to me a lot, you have a goal. You have a goal. And hopefully you've got a goal, right? You've got a goal and you're pressing towards it. But the first thing you come up against is a problem. Talked a little bit about this yesterday. The first thing you come up against is a problem. See, because when you create a goal, and the best goals are goals that's big, right? You make them big. Now, the thing about a big goal is that when you get the problem, the size of the problem is going to be determined by the size of the goal. So if you've got a big goal, then there's going to be a large size problem that's going to show up in front of you. What are you going to do at that point? Like, how are you going to get past this problem? Well, you got to diagnose it. You've got to be able to break down. Well, I want to stay clear. I've got clarity. I know why I'm living. And here it is. Here's a problem. This problem is trying to send you back. You know what? Jay's not ready. Hey, you're not ready. And boom, you get to the problem. Okay, let me diagnose. You're a doctor. Like you have to be a doctor of your own situation. And so you doctor up. You have to doctor up yourself. You diagnose. What's this problem? Oh, you know what? Man, I'm having problems in my relationship. These are the problems that I'm having. What? I've got these problems. All right, now that I know what the problems are, now that I've diagnosed my problems, now I have to design a solution that can eradicate this problem. This is how you're going to stay clear. This is how you're going to stay on target and have clarity of purpose. So now you design something that eradicates the problem. So now as you've designed something to eradicate these problems, when you're coming back around to these goals. Oh, now I've designed everything that I want. And bam, you're like, okay, now I'm moving towards my goals. But the thing is, now you just got to keep doing. You got to keep doing it. The faster you can do, the faster you can get past those problems, the more clear you'll become. You will be able to stay on your mission. I'm gonna tell you, this is not easy. And I'm gonna speak to you. And I'm just tell you that now I've been striving, right? I've been striving all year over hurdles. And every time when it seems like I'm getting over a hurdle, another one comes back. And so there's one particular thing that's happened to me recently multiple times. And as I was diagnosing myself, I had these kind of like you go into triage, as I was diagnosing myself last night and this morning, I said, you know what, if I come up against this situation again, this is how I'm going to handle it. This is exactly what I'm going to do, because at the end of the day, I keep seeing this same thing over and over. And when you keep seeing the same thing over and over, then that's your cue that you haven't diagnosed it, or you haven't diagnosed it properly. So now you got to make sure you diagnose it properly so that if it comes back around, you can eradicate this problem. Literally, I had this happen to me yesterday. I had it happen to me last week, and I immediately went into triage. I got to fix this because, I've got to keep it moving and I need a different problem. I don't want to keep having that problem. So guys, the thing is, when you look at a problem, it's not to get down. Sometimes you can get down on yourself, But when you're clear, when you understand it, look, this is where I'm headed. I'm headed toward this place. I'm headed towards creating the life that I want. I'm headed towards creating the relationship that I want. I'm headed toward creating the body that I want. I'm headed towards it. The pain of these problems will determine what you're going to actually get. See, because sometimes the pain gets too excruciating. And I was listening to a gentleman, his name is David Goggins. He's an ex-Navy SEAL. And he talks about his story of how he became a Navy SEAL. You know, one day he just decided, he had been in the military, he'd gone to say he'd been in the military, and then he decided he wanted to be a Navy SEAL. He was almost 300 pounds. He was almost 300 pounds. And so when he went to apply, they said, well, to even get in, you've got to lose 100 pounds. But he only had 3 months. This man said, you know what? He wanted to do this. He wanted to do this so bad that he said he was willing to lose this 100 pounds. And so he did all sorts of things. Like he put his body under duress. Like the average person would have probably died or quit. So that was just to get into the program. He lost 100 pounds in 3 months. Lost 100 pounds in 3 months, got into the program. It, I think he said the program, usually is maybe 10 weeks or something like that. It took him 18 months to get through. Well, because he kept getting set back to the beginning because of different things. He would get injured and he couldn't go on any further. And so they would say, well, we'll keep you in the program, but you got to go back to day one. And he said he did that multiple times over an 18-month period, wound up finishing. And he recently created a book. Check it out on Amazon. It was actually out of stock. I went to buy it yesterday and I couldn't get it because it's out of stock. It just came out 2 weeks ago. He's number 2 on Amazon right now behind Michelle Obama. I think the title of the book is You Can't Hurt Me. But his whole thing was pain. Like you can actually endure more pain than you think. Some of the stories that he talks about and how he ran 100 miles in 24 hours and the duress that he put his body under, how his body had literally broke down. In that run, but he was able to continue. What happened and how did he do it? He was clear. He had a purpose, which was his purpose was only to go into SEAL school and finish SEAL school. But he said something really good. He said something that really resonated with me. He says a lot of times people are looking for inspiration and motivation. He says, and that's all well and good, but you've got to become self-motivated. You have to pull out of yourself that in which you seek. You've got to do it. Now, everyone has a book inside of them. And he says, man, instead of reading all these books, you got to read the book you got. The book that's inside of you. All of the stuff that's happening right now is your book. You have to get in the mirror and look at it and say, well, look at how I'm jacked up. And pay attention to how messed up you are. Pay attention to things that you don't do. Pay attention to all the excuses that you're making. Pay attention to the fact that you keep failing. Like he's got an interesting way of telling you that you've got to take an account of who you are. You got to get clear on that. And I'm gonna tell you, man, his story. Go get the book. Go get the book when it becomes available again. You Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. His story. Now I've heard his story because I've been listening to a lot of stuff on YouTube with him over the past 6-7 months, and so I'm just what I want to leave you with today on clarity is that there's going to be problems. Let's get that clear. There's going to be problems. You're going to experience a lot of pain. That pain, I'm telling you, depending on the size of, you know, the goal or what you want to do. I mean, if you go for little stuff, then great. You may not have as much pain. But if you're going for something big in your life and you've gotten cleared, you've got clarity of purpose, there's going to be some problems that's going to show up. Those problems, there's going to be some pain that you're going to have to go through. See, here's the thing. Are you willing to self-reflect on yourself? Are you willing to allow yourself to change? Are you willing to diagnose all of the problems that you have, all of the excuses that you've been making so that you can design the life, design whatever it is that you want? Are you willing to then take those same goals and do everything that you can to get through those problems? Are you willing to do that? See, because the enlightened life says that you've got to have clarity. But in order to get clarity, guys, you've got to change. Jim Rohn says for things to change, you've got to change. You've got to change. And in order to change, in order to stay changed, you're going to have to concentrate. You're going to have to focus in on what it is that you have to, what it is that you're changing from and what it is you're changing into. Once you've concentrated, then you've got to move into the certainty of the fact that you can do it. And from there, clarity of purpose, moving past the problems and challenges and designing and in diagnosing and designing the life that you actually want and doing what it takes. That's the enlightened life. But we're not even done yet. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about creativity. See, because without creativity, guys, we're moving in order here. Like when I created this, I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't know. Creativity is next. You're going to have to use something that you may not be using, you haven't used. Creativity is almost the holy grail that's going to take you through the having an enlightened life, being all that you can be in your life, and being able to show others how they can do it too. So guys, I want to thank you for joining me today for this particular enlightenment series. It gave me so much joy and pleasure to be able to share this message with you this morning of clarity, the fourth C of an enlightened life. Go back and check out, change and concentration and certainty. If you haven't already, they're here on Facebook and they're also on YouTube. Go back and check them out. Watch them and listen to them. Take some notes and continue your enlightened life, because I know that if I can do this, if I'm living this life and I'm doing this, I know you can do it. So guys, I appreciate you and I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow. God bless you. Take care.